Saludos para todos ustedes, a las personas que se están conectando en este momento. Tenemos nuevos detalles a continuación que te voy a mostrar sobre esta noticia de última hora del tiroteo a las cercanías del presidente Donald J. Trump cuando estaba jugando golf, señores. Comencemos. Última hora, el presidente Trump ha publicado lo siguiente, el mensaje de Trump a todos sus partidarios: estoy sano y salvo, nada me detendrá, nunca me rendiré y siempre los amaré por apoyarme. Unidad y paz, hagamos que Estados Unidos vuelva a ser grande nuevamente, que Dios me los bendiga a todos. Sí, señores, tenemos aquí esta información. El presidente Donald Trump publicó lo siguiente, un statement, dice lo siguiente: hubo un gunshot en mi vecindad, pero antes de que los rumores comiencen a salirse de control, quiero decirles que estoy bien, estoy sano, estoy bien, dice el presidente Trump. Estoy a salvo y estoy bien. Según dijo Fox News, esta situación comenzó cuando el servicio secreto vio a un hombre armado en el golf club y abrió fuego. El hombre portaba un AK-47. Vamos a escuchar estos informes de Fox News.
The president and Biden and Vice President Harris have been briefed on the security incident near the golf club. Lucas Tomlinson live at the White House. Lucas, anything more on the reports that this may have started when a Secret Service agent saw a potential gunman at the golf course and opened fire?
Well, Eric, that's almost exactly what happened. Fox News can now report that it was the Secret Service that fired the gunshots at this suspected gunman outside former President Trump's golf club, Trump International, in West Palm Beach, Florida. The Secret Service saw a man carrying an AK-47. The man with the AK-47 did not open fire. It was the Secret Service that opened fire. The man dropped the rifle, took off running. We now understand, based on local reports, that suspect is now in custody. We are awaiting a press conference from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office as well as the Secret Service. They will both be at that press conference, but Fox News can confirm once again it was the Secret Service that fired those shots at what they saw was a threat to the president, who was playing golf. As we just heard from Sean Hannity, former President Trump was on the front nine at Trump International when these shots rang out. The Secret Service saw what they thought was a threat, a lone gunman carrying an AK-47. That man did not fire the shots. It was the Secret Service. That suspect went running, and we're now told he's in custody, Eric.
Sí, amigos, nuevas fotos revelan que un automóvil fue detenido y una persona fue detenida después del tiroteo en el club de golf en West Palm Beach. Aquí podemos ver las fotografías del auto detenido del posible sospechoso que aparentemente iba a abrió fuego a las residencias de Mar-a-Lago, a la residencia de West Palm Beach, en el club West Palm Beach del presidente Donald Trump. Los medios de comunicación tienen su historia preparada. Trump está a salvo tras disparo en su vecindad, donde todos los títulos pueden observar aquí el título de CNBC: Trump safe after gunshot in his vicinity. Político, el mismo título. CBS, el mismo título. CNN, el mismo título, señores. Como una retórica, copy-pega son estas personas. Qué increíble. Kamala Harris ha publicado lo siguiente. Me han informado de que se ha producido disparos cerca del expresidente Trump y de su propiedad en Florida, y me alegro de que se encuentre a salvo. La violencia no tiene cabida en los Estados Unidos. Esto lo ha publicado en este momento Kamala Harris, señores, en su cuenta de X. Estamos esperando en este momento el briefing, el press conference por parte de las personas que van a dar nuevos detalles de lo que está sucediendo en los Estados Unidos, en lo que está sucediendo con Donald Trump. Vamos a escuchar en este momento el informe preliminar de primera hora de lo que ha dicho Fox News sobre este tema. Escuchen esto.
Well, this is a Fox News alert. Former President Trump is safe after gunshots were reported while he was golfing at his club in West Palm Beach at the Trump International Golf Course, not Mar-a-Lago. The former president is fine, his campaign says. Those shots were fired in the vicinity of the golf course. We're now waiting for an update from the Secret Service and police about all this. Hello and welcome to Fox News Live. I'm Eric Shawn.
And I'm Marcel Neville. So the Trump campaign did not specify where those shots may have been fired. And this, of course, is coming 2 months after the former president was shot at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And we do have Sean Hannity. Sean is going to join us live right now from your home studio. Sean, unfortunately, we're talking about this very subject today, unfortunately. But what do you know? Have you spoken to the former president?
I've spoken to the president, and I spoke to his golf partner, Steve Witkoff, a well-known developer, businessman in Miami in the Palm Beach area. So I got a lot of details. I'm very aware of the New York Post report that said that it was, well, outside of what's called Trump International in West Palm Beach, which is where I am. And anyway, so long story short, is President Trump, they were on the 5th hole, they were about to go up to putt, and the way Steve Witkoff, now, just as a little bit of background, Arthel, I happened to go to breakfast with Steve Witkoff and another friend of mine this morning, and I was invited to play golf. They happen to be really good golfers. I don't have a lot of time to play golf, so I said thank you, but I'm not going to go out on the golf course and get killed out there. But long story short, so they were playing, they were on the 5th hole. And the way Steve described this, the way the president described it, they both had exactly the same story, which was that they heard pop, 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 pop. And Steve went into great specificity and great detail as to what happened right after. Within seconds, the Secret Service pounced on the president, covered him. You had snipers with tripods. They knew the direction where the shots had been fired, and they had eyes on the location where the shots had been fired. And long story short, they were I have confirmed with both the president and with Mr. Witkoff that the gun has been found. They identified it as an AK-47. And thanks to Secret Service drone video coverage, they were able to identify one individual involved in this shooting getting into a car after dropping the AK-47. And my understanding, according to both of them, is that that car has been identified, and I believe it's been surrounded. Whether or not that person has been apprehended or not, I don't know. This happened in a matter of seconds. A little more color, a little bit more details on this is that when they got on top of the president, immediately what is called a fast cart that I believe has steel reinforcement and protection was able to whisk the president away. And then the Secret Service immediately sprung into action. They had eyes on where the shooting had occurred. I saw the New York Post report that these were two people shooting at each other outside the course. I do know, and they did confirm that the shots were outside of the course, but certainly seemingly within range of the former president. So we don't have any details on any of that. They don't know that part. I only know the part of what they experienced while they were playing golf at Trump International in West Palm. Thankfully, the president is safe. Steve Witkoff is safe. The Secret Service apparently acted with incredible speed and professionalism, and but certainly alarming in every way imaginable in light of what happened in Butler, as you mentioned.
Yeah, of course, this is very alarming. And Sean, have you spoken to the former president or texted with him?
I have spoken with the president 3 times since this incident, and each time I got a new piece of information. One, that they had found, first of all, what happened with the shooting. The second thing, that they had found an AK-47. Third, that their drone footage was able to give them enough surveillance to identify the exact car that the individual involved in the shooting got into. And further detail that they gave me was that they were updated and told that that car had been found, identified, was surrounded by law enforcement. I don't know what happened from there. It could not have been too far away. I would say the time frame was less than a half hour between the time that the shooting actually took place and they identified the car. So
I'm trying to find out, like, how is he doing? That's what we want to know. How is he doing, if you spoke to him?
Well, you really want to know the truth, Arthel? He goes, well, there's more details, because I did hear, and Steve Witkoff was very clear. The first thing the president did when he got back to the clubhouse was make sure that everybody else was okay. He didn't see his golf partner with him. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? Where's Steve? And then Steve says, I'm right here. He got in maybe a few minutes behind the president. The Secret Service was able to get everybody to safety. Everybody else was taken off the golf course. Then when the president found out everybody was safe and nobody had been harmed, I guess in typical fight fashion, Trump said to Steve, and then he related to me, I really wanted to finish the hole. I was even, and I had a birdie putt, and it was on the fifth hole, which shows a lot of I think guts and gumption, and very Trumpian, I guess, in every way. But the good news we can report is that in spite of this being in such close proximity to the president and others and the Secret Service, that they were not harmed, and that they are in safety. And I know the investigation will go forward. Probably more details, I would imagine, as time unfolds.
Sean, for those who don't know that area, the Trump International Golf Course, West Palm Beach, across the causeway from Mar-a-Lago. I mean, it's in a residential neighborhood. You've got, Burger Kings and convenience stores all around. Any word do we know from police? Was this gang-related shooting, two gunmen shooting at each other's? And you've got to hand it to the Secret Service to have it drawn up and to be able to identify this, so quickly.
Right. There was only one credible news report that I saw, and it was a part of News Corp, which runs the Fox News channel, came from the New York Post, that they believed the shooting was between two people outside of the golf course. But there's not a lot of details to that as of this moment. Now, I would assume we're going to get more information from the Secret Service. I know that there were at least 30 to 50 sheriff and West Palm Beach police there. They responded immediately. I happened to be driving in and around the area. I drove past Mar-a-Lago to see what was going on. There was a heavy police presence. Ever since the shooting in Butler, that had been a very common scene, but not like this. It was more active than usual. But the fact that everybody's okay and 4 shots were fired, it's honestly, it's disheartening on one level, it's sad on another level, and it's scary on a level that, somebody with an AK-47 could be that close to the president or former president and top presidential candidate, and, just 50 days before an election.
Yeah, Sean, you're right. It's very disturbing. Everybody's nerves are on edge. And as you just told us, the president, former president, his true fashion, that he has, kind of sucked it up and just said, look, I'm okay, my people are okay, and I wish I had finished my golf round there. But it is a very tense time, and we don't know exactly right now if, in fact, this was something that was directed at the president or this was something happening separate from him, but it definitely was too close for comfort, given what happened on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I think, Arthel, you're raising a really good question, and we'll find out. And I never like to rush to judgment, and it has served me very well in my career. And I think that's why we got Ferguson, Missouri, right, and Duke Lacrosse, and UVA, and Freddie Gray in Baltimore. And early in my career, when the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said that Richard Jewell fit the profile of the lone bomber because he lived with his mother. I was on the air at the time. I didn't know that Richard Jewell was even listening to my show. I found out later. And I said, just because he lives with his mother does not fit the profile of somebody that would be involved in a bombing. So when situations like this do unfold, I think the important thing to do is wait for the details to come in. The good news that we can tell you, I can add one little piece to the equation, is that the president got home very late last night. He had a rally, I believe it was in Salt Lake. He flew in, maybe got to Palm Beach around 2:30 in the morning. And when I went to breakfast that was planned with Steve Witkoff and another friend of ours, and when I went to breakfast with them this morning, we went to our favorite diner, and it's called City Diner, by the way. We went there, and the president had written him when he got back, any chance you want to play golf tomorrow, because he had a scheduled lunch with the president. I was not a part of that. So long story short is that as of now, we know everybody's okay, but we've got to understand what the perimeter is, in my view, Arthel, which is what you were saying. In other words, I would say we define a perimeter for any elected official, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, I don't care, that it's got to be within any distance of any long, high-powered rifle. That's got to be considered the perimeter going forward. We saw the Democratic senator this week telling America they're going to be shocked and appalled at what we learn about the Butler shooting, and we'll have an interim report coming out maybe this week or next week. And those words are chilling. That's Senator Blumenthal that made those comments. So long story short, I think there's a lot more that we have to find out. I'd like to hear from the Secret Service. I'd like to hear from law enforcement. I feel like a lot of information in the Butler shooting was very slow in coming forward. If this was an outside event, as the New York Post is reporting, fine, let's get the details of that as well. The American people have a right to know, and we have to certainly re-examine what the perimeter is for any president, any presidential candidate, any high-ranking official, in terms of the distance and the power of a rifle and what it could do. But to hear Steve Witkoff describe, he heard pop, 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 and the Secret Service diving on the president, and he's watching all of this unfold in real time, is a pretty chilling scenario.
It must have been really frightening and harrowing. Thankfully, Sean, the former president, is okay. And it kind of reminds me, remember when President Ronald Reagan was shot? His humor, he said, when he was in the emergency room, he said, "Honey, I forgot to duck," for the former president to say, I couldn't finish my fifth hole. Certainly authorities will find out what happened here, and if this indeed is a street crime.
He said that directly to me, Eric. He said, well, and then Steve Witkoff confirmed it. Once he knew everybody was safe, his first priority, he was in a bit of a panic about where's Steve, where's Steve, where's Steve. He didn't know what had happened because he had got whisked away in a golf cart that moves like 100 miles an hour. Then Steve is watching these guys on tripods, identifying the location where the shots were fired. And so he's watching that unfold, probably seeing his life flash behind it, before his eyes. Then gets back and he's wondering, okay, where are my friends? Where are the Secret Service agents? The president did go out of his way to praise every one of these agents. Steve did say that he went up to all of them individually, thanked them, shook their hand, told them how much he appreciated them. And then he went to I was even. It was the fifth hole. I had a birdie putt. I really wanted to finish the hole. So, well, classic Trump, if you ask me.
Well, we're happy that, as of now, this is a good note to end on. But as you said, Sean, the investigation definitely will continue. And, of course, we here at Fox will have all the details as we get them. Sean, thank you.
All right.
Sean, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Absolutely.
Ok, señores, tenemos también esta información. Ok, vamos a esperar aquí que se cargue esto. Ok, miren, dice así. Última hora, el FBI publicó esta declaración. El FBI ha respondido a West Palm Beach, Florida, y está investigando lo que parece ser un intento de magnicidio contra el expresidente Donald Trump, ya que todavía la información se estaba confirmando si esto era un intento de magnicidio o no, si era un tiroteo a la cercanía, pero el FBI está tratando esto como un intento de magnicidio. MSNBC ha dicho lo siguiente, vamos a escuchar.
Alex, the FBI has just issued a new statement where it says it's
El FBI acaba de emitir una declaración donde está tratando esto.
responding to what it calls an attempted assassination of
Lo que responde a un intento de magnicidio
former President Trump. And that's
contra el expresidente Donald Trump.
obviously deeply significant because we have
Así que esto sería profundamente significativo
not been calling this an assassination attempt
porque todavía no podíamos llamar esto un intento de magnicidio.
until now because of certain information that we lack right now.
Porque hay información que faltaba.
The FBI obviously believes that it was, that they
El FBI cree que esto sí fue un intento de magnicidio.
offer no further details in that statement.
Así que va a haber más detalles sobre esta declaración.
And we're trying to get in touch with them right now to understand why they are calling this an
Queremos saber por qué lo están llamando así.
attempted assassination against former President Trump. But that's what they're saying, and they have this person is in custody, and the FBI is responding, and so that's obviously a very significant moment in this story, an attempted assassination attempt of the former president.
Wow,
Alex.
wow.
Let me ask you something, and if you're not able to answer this, I will go next to Frank Figliuzzi with the FBI, because this again is reporting you're saying from the FBI investigating what appeared to be an attempted assassination of former President Trump. The words attempted assassination, how broadly might that be applied? Because we don't have any indication that a shot was fired at the former president.
Ok, la periodista en este momento está refutando de que si eso fue un intento de magnicidio o no. Ella quiere saber si se podría utilizar la palabra correcto, intento de magnicidio.
Could it include anybody who may have wished to do harm, somebody who wasn't able to get close enough to do harm?
No, ya, suficiente. No te quiero escuchar más, de verdad. Increíble, señores. Entonces, hasta aquí voy a dejar el video. Les estaré dando detalles sobre
But somebody who
estas informaciones, señores. Cuídense mucho y nos vemos en unas horas, en unos minutos sobre información preliminar sobre este shooting hacia el presidente Donald J. Trump. Nos vemos, cuídense mucho.